fantastic Zerg players as we are loading into Cyber Forest. soO versus Dark is coming up.
This is going to be good. Alright, and up here in the top left-hand side of the map, in the red, on Ephemeron, representing Chivo, it is
Chivo, soO.
I am not used to someone else saying the name. It's exciting. Woo!
And in the right bottom side of this beautiful green map, we're looking in the main base of
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
Now I've got a question for you, Pig. What does a man got to do to be picked up by Dragon Phoenix Gaming, okay? Because I don't know much, but that sounds like one out of a team, and I want to be part of it.
Dude, I mean, two gigantic mythical creatures in one. You've got the power of rebirth, the power of flight and breathing fire. I mean, these all sound like the sort of things that a GSL champion can kind of concoct, maybe pull out some of that fire in this game. And I mean, it's Zerg vs. Zerg. It's going to be an action-packed one. I'm also really excited because you know what? Me and you, we get to cast a lot of Zerg vs. Zerg, but it's mostly European Zerg vs. Zerg. And the Korean Zerg vs. Zerg, I mean, it is just always more aggressive. These players get in each other's faces a little bit quicker. We've seen recently Nidus Worms obviously being huge, but it's always funny because sometimes it doesn't crack through, but you'll see the player just be like, okay, well now I'm just going to keep throwing Nidus Worms just to keep you at home for the next few minutes. We've seen like 30, 40, 50 Nidus Worms go down in one game.
It gets pretty wild indeed in the Korean CVZ. They're less likely to really tack up and chill on tier 3 units for quite some time and build up those massive banks. So I think overall this entire series is going to feel very different than the first two we've had so far today. Even though I think both the PVZ and the TVZ, I think they delivered. They showed us fantastic games. I think it was very great back and forth all around. But this is most likely going to be a lot higher paced. One of those buckle up and enjoy the ride series, because before you know it, this could very well be over.
Ephemeron here, a map which has been vetoed early by the players up to this point. The Zerg players have actually been vetoing this. Both these players vetoed it in their previous series, while their opponents, of course, the Protoss and Terrans, not wanting to let the Zerg players onto World of Sleepers, the gigantic map that it is. But in Zerg vs. Zerg, obviously neither race has an advantage in that regard, so both happy to take the third base. And you can see those stats so close between these players. soO actually, yeah, overall competitive edge in online matches as well, but offline you can see that Dark is leading by 1 series historically in total.
Yeah, it's been very close between these two in the past. I would say when it comes to that Ling Bane phase, I definitely favor Dark a little bit, right? I feel like he's slightly better when it comes to microing those Lings and Banes early on. He's also the first one to fire up 14, 16 Lings even. soO also firing up his Lings, but after that already squeezed in another drone. So far, I mean, this is often where games get decided in Korean ZVZ. It's really crazy, but one player is going to try to drone up and the other one's like, no, I wasn't done yet. And soO is going to find these two Lings that were supposed to morph into Banelings here.
That was really good. Always nice to delay your opponent's Baneling morph. soO going to morph 4 defensive Banelings. Meanwhile, Dark here just powering across this map here. Queen's coming out to the front, a quick reactive pull of those economy units into the defense. And we're going to see Dark starting to try and siege that third base down. The Zerglings just dancing back and forth to buy time here. Dark might try and rotate around to the natural.
Yeah, there aren't too many Banes left anymore. Like, normally there shouldn't be too much here to gain. Look at Dark, by the way, Pick. He's just going all out. That's more and more Lings for Dark. More Banelings on the way as well. And those Banelings were not ready yet. Now he's going to get into the main base, and this is where things get ugly.
No safety Baneling on the ramp there, and Lings are inside. Banelings even morphing right next to the hatchery. The Queen comes out. The drone's being forced off the line. Good micro so far by soO, but he's got to stop this. Those Banelings, oh man!
I mean, that's already kind of all the Dark needed, right? Dark is not done yet, but that's pretty much all he needed. He really wants to get that Queen. Somehow doesn't get that Queen. There was one more Bane in the main base that he won't get either. Dark
and he's not done. He's not done, man. He's just going to keep going.
I kind of wouldn't have minded if he decided to transition from that point. Because I think he really could have been quite happy with it. I said soO morphing Banes as well in a rather aggressive manner.
Yeah, and there's still 2 Queens up the front, but they need those Banelings to guard them. Another preemptive detonation there. And the Zerglings just run right on by the third base, taking big damage in the midst of this.
Yeah, soO is counterattacking though, so Dark is also losing his third base, I believe, on the other side of the map. Don't forget that one of those Queens was incredibly low on HP. Look at this, soO is going to get an easy pick-off on that natural, or that third base rather. Now Dark did leave a couple of links behind. Is that going to be enough? It seems like the answer is yes. What a wild game coming on.
soO is so far behind on workers now. I mean, he's up a base, but down 10 drones. That's the much more important thing at this stage of the game. soO going to try and pull back for now. He's going to try and recover that worker count. Dark, meanwhile, immediately drops his third hatch back down.
And don't forget that hatch is actually very low on HP as well, so he's not really a base up, right? Because how likely is it that that base is going to stay alive forever?
Yeah, I mean, he's not even trying to defend it. I mean, the Queen's out in the open here. Where are the Banelings? He needs more Banelings over here. There we go. 2 Banelings do waddle on up. Good transfuses there. And a fantastic trade so far for soO. That wave of defense went very well, but he needs more Lings and Banes. He's trying to...
Oh, okay. That was massive. Now, at the same time, soO is still counterattacking as well. So even though it felt all very good for Dark, Dark didn't get that hatchery in the end. soO was able to get a few more drones. Now soO is dealing damage as well with his little counterattack. It's not much what soO is working with, but he's absolutely making it count.
Yeah, good defense there, actually, of that counterattack by Dark. Only lost a few Lings, kept his drones and Queens alive. But man, that Baneling hit, what a swing in the momentum in this series. Dark losing his army advantage at that point, and now it is 3 base versus 3 base. Both players on a good pack of Ling Bane, a small worker advantage for Dark. And his third base about to catch up here. Both players just going to keep on skirmishing, but Dark, he's sliding some Lings around the north side of the map. Wants to set up another counterattack.
I must say it's amazing that soO was able to keep his hatchery alive with just those 3 Queens there, right? The 3 Queens, they really did as well as they possibly could have done, because they were healing each other, a Baneling was blown up, the Lings were going down, and in the end Dark got absolutely nothing there, while soO still got a little bit of damage on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this Ling Bane's going to come on in here. A bit of an engagement, but good defense there from Dark. The workers have been tied up. Oh, 6?
That's a lot of Banes.
6 Banelings?
Yeah,
That's
he wants to get the hatch, right?
Yeah. Wow. And there's no way to stop that. There's no way. You'd need 3 Queens way up in front of it with no forward warning. No Overlord's going to spot it to the last second.
I love this as well. This is Dark like, hey, look at me. I'm here with my Lings. Look at the minimap. I've got Lings, you know. Try to connect with a Baneling, and at the same time, his Banelings will show
Oh, he's
up.
going to get the drones as well.
He's going to get everything, Pig. He's going to get 4 drones there, 5 even, and that hatchery. And at the same time, he's going to try to sneak a couple of Banes into the natural as well. That won't work out, but that's obviously a big pickoff.
You know, the Baneling, it kind of waddles around. It doesn't look that imposing, but it is such a powerful unit in these early skirmishes. And both players going to go up to the Roach stage, but soO being knocked down a hatchery. Dark very happy to gain that advantage. And once again, you're going to see the real art on the defense from both players is how quickly they pull these Queens to the front whenever they're being pressured by the Ling Bane, and they focus the enemy Banelings down so quickly. You can see soO here probing, but he just can't find anything.
soO has been, soO was banking up quite some resources, and now he's spending pretty much all of it, up to the point where he's out of larva. That's 11 roaches. I don't believe that soO has ever tacked up, right? So what is this going to be? Is he gonna... Wow, that's so many roaches.
That is a desperate 2-base roach push, Roddy. It is... The thing is, the Lings have just seen there's no third. He's going to go check the other third base, and Dark sees there's no third on the left-hand side, and he goes, yep, okay, sure, you're going all in. So Dark, he was already into roach production off a very perfect lead. Like 8-9 workers in Zerg vs. Zerg, that's the ideal lead. It's going to take your opponent a while to get across the map. We've got tons of transfuse energy. Yes, there'll be a roach advantage for soO, but Dark's got upgrades coming in. He's got the roach speed that'll be on the way. He's got the +1 on the way, and he's just going to have such a good defensive setup.
Yeah, and he's going to have defender's advantage, right? Every roach that Dark is going to produce is going to show up to the battle like 3-4 seconds later, while the roaches that soO is producing, well, they're going to have to travel to the other side of the map. And these are slow roaches. Well, there's Banelings in the mix too.
Good spread though. Look at that. The Queens and the roaches say, nah, we're not going to clump up for you. Even though you don't get bonus damage, those Banelings are very real threat. And look at that. The transfuses starting to land all across that roach line. Banelings of Dark actually force soO to spread backwards. And that, Roddy, is a fantastic hold.
Yep, I think this is going to be pretty much it. soO is really all in as a 2-base Zerg, but he's not going to break Dark over here. Dark has more than enough. the Queens, the defender's advantage. These extra Lings and Roaches show up so quickly. And unfortunately for soO, he was simply not able to get the damage done that he was looking for. His Queen is off creep as well. Well, that Queen is absolutely gone.
Yeah,
this is it, Piggy.
Just a great momentum-focused opening from Dark. Gets to the GG. Lingbane there, you know, just testing your opponent. Come out game one strong with a big skill check. Gets a small edge from it, but then he built upon that edge. Got the third, started to wriggle those Banelings into the worker lines. Really mounted up the pressure.
Yeah, it was a little back and forth, right? It started off good, and then at one point it felt like, I feel like he's slowly but steady losing his lead, and then when he couldn't get the hatch and he was fighting those 3 queens, I was like, okay, I actually don't like it that much anymore, because I feel that soO right now, with the queens that he already has out, can start creating a minor lead for himself, but that's when Dark was able to find more damage with his 6 Banes, get the hat-trick kill, and get himself in a 1-0 lead. He now just needs 2 more maps to make it into the quarterfinals of the WCS Global Finals 2019. That wouldn't be the first time for him, but we all expect him there. It's never going to be easy though, Pig.
Nah, he's the self-possessed Dark that we're used to remembering though. He's looking so good at the moment. Up here in the top left-hand side, a rough game 1 start, but he's shown some good skills so far. Let's see if he can keep it up in the top left.
Chivo, soO.
And in the right bottom side of Acropolis, we're looking at the main base of the man who defeated Showtime 3-2, and now he's up 1-0. It is
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
I will never get enough of that team name pick. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is so perfect.
It's awesome, man. I love that we've got such a variety of teams, little team leagues and different various competitions popping up in Starcraft recently. So big spread with these players. And I'm just always excited to see these players competing at this level, finally getting a chance, of course, to sit behind the casting desk as well, which is what we all really live for. I mean, Dark, he's just such a strong level. Even with Showtime earlier, I was so impressed with his ability to hang on in some of those games. There's just that point where you see a player where they just don't die easily. They just will not give up and throw in the towel. You know, it's a little bit of what obviously made Serral famous in 2018, the ability to claw your way back into a game even when things aren't going your way. And I feel like Dark's got that self-possessed nature, that energy about him. And I feel like I haven't seen him this confident since about 3-4 years ago, the early days of Legacy of the Void, where he really was the top Zerg in the world.
Yep, and he wanted to let everybody know as well that that's how he felt about himself, right?
Oh yeah, he's not shy about that, hey?
Not just Zerg, just player overall. Like, he generally felt, I think one of my favorite Dark quotes is that he said when he sees other people lift a trophy, he just gets angry because he feels like it should have been him always. And I was like, you know what? It's a bit cocky, but I like that attitude.
It's the best. I know some of the fans sometimes just get a little bit upset. They think he's a little bit arrogant, but you know what? Dark knows he's good at Starcraft. He trains hard all day, every day, and I love a little bit of attitude from the players.
And what I love from Dark is that you don't just see the attitude in his interviews, right? Because it's very easy to talk a big game, but he doesn't just back it up with results. I feel like he often backs it up in the way that he plays as well. Because he doesn't often play like the most optimal strategy or like the smartest. It's just one of those threats where I make a lot of Lings and Banes, and I know you're going to do the same, but I'm better than you, so I'm going to outplay you, and that's how I'm going to win. Like, it's so funny how many of his games just play out like that. It's just like, no. Like, I can make it complicated or I can keep it simple, but I'm amazing at Lingbane, and I'm going to make the difference with Lingbane.
Yeah, his Ravager Ling timings and Zerg vs. Terran ones that he always seems to pull out at the right time. We've seen recently, and he did it game 1 against Showtime, and recently pulled it off against Stats. He likes to do a 50-drone Lingbane check against Protoss players, which is one of the strangest strategies that keeps working for him. But, I mean, that's just Dark. He keeps it going.
Biggie, what's happening over here? soO is building up quite a few Lings, but I don't think he made a Baneling nest this game, so I think soO's trying to skip out on it. Yeah. And that's always a bit risky, right? Because if Dark picks up on this and Dark keeps building Lings and Banes and counterattacks, things can get very ugly here. So soO's actually playing rather a dangerous game, but there we already see the Roach one for Dark as well. Dark doesn't know what we know. He doesn't know that soO is actually being greedy. I always like this kind of aggression where he's like, oh, look at me, I'm being aggressive. But soO's not actually being aggressive. He's just making sure that Dark is not getting scouted.
Yeah,
or that Dark doesn't scout him.
This is really important because, as you mentioned, he skipped out on the Baneling tech. So if he ends up in a Ling versus Ling Bane fight, he'll just get his butt kicked. So he has to keep Dark on his side of the map. And by coming across with this, he's kind of scared Dark a little bit. He's forced a few trades. If Dark pushes him, soO won't go home to defend. He'll use these Lings to backstab because he's got to keep it away from a one-directional front-on fight. That's how he can take out the Baneling advantage, goes straight up to very fast upgrades and roaches himself, and look at the droning that he's done non-stop. So he said, look, you built all this defense, guess what? I was being so greedy behind it.
I really love the fake aggression, and obviously if you're Dark, you're not exactly sure what's happening. You're like, whoa, he made a lot of Lings early on, I have to be careful, make sure there is no Baneling that I run into. Well, there were no Banelings at all, so Dark didn't get the scouting information that he kind of needed, couldn't really make the right calls. And I think it's safe to say that this soO has now created an absolutely amazing position for himself, because he survived that phase in the game where you could normally say you need Banelings. He didn't need Banelings, he's economically ahead, and with the roaches, I think he's going to be more than fine here. I don't really see...
Did he skip lair as well? I think he got the lair up. Maybe he's just skipped roach speed for the moment. No, he's just started this lair now. I mean, he might just commit to a huge roach Ling timing. He's got such a massive roaches out.
But he doesn't have to, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, of course, once he has +1 missile attacks, you can say, like, being aggressive is alright, but it also makes you more vulnerable at home. Like, technically, I feel that soO can just drone up here, because it's, I feel the ball is in Dark's corner. Dark wants to get something done with his Banes.
This is a crazy Ling Bane attack right now. This is so late in the game. He needs to get some big damage with this. There are quite a few workers exposed. 6 of them do go down, but I don't think that's enough.
No,
soO has such a big economic lead, and his army packs more of a punch way later in this game. Roach is much better than Zerglings in a front-on fight.
Yep, and somehow soO's still finding some damage as well with just a couple of Zerglings on the other side of the map. Now, I do like the Spire here by Dark. I think Spires in general are very cool in CVZ, but trying to play Roach versus Roach, where your opponent has a 40 supply army advantage, or 40 army supply advantage, in this phase in the game, that's almost pointless. I don't know if he's gonna survive long enough for this Spire to finish up, but I think it's kind of Dark's only choice here.
Yeah, I mean, what can he possibly defend with? He's trying to build Roaches to hang on. He's going to send Zerglings to backstab, but we've already got a Ling reinforce for soO that's going to match the mobility of that. And these Roaches more or less unanswered on the front. There we go, good fight there for Dark with the Lings, but nothing.
Wow. Wow, that's actually such a straightforward, simple victory by soO, but I think the beauty lays within the fact that it actually wasn't that simple, but it's just how he sold it early on, how he made those Lings, and he's like, hey Dark, I'm gonna attack you, and Dark's like, alright, you know, gotta respect it, and suddenly by the time you realize what is actually happening, you're like, wait a minute, I haven't seen any Banes, you're not actually really showing up with more. What is actually happening? Well, surprise, surprise, soO went into very quick roaches and had 10 more drones on the other side of the map. And it almost felt that Dark got a bit desperate, where he's like, well, I have these Lings now, and I have a Baneling nest, so I really want to get some value out of it, but yeah, the window was certainly, or the window was closed at that point. I mean, there was simply no opportunity to really make those Banes pay for themselves anymore right at that moment. Like, later on, you can always squeeze in like 2 Banes into a mineral line, but yeah, I think that Dark was a little upset that he realized too late what was happening, and then got a bit impatient.
Indeed. And a quick way to tie things up there. 2 action-packed games so far. Dark gonna have to scratch his head, style his hair, and figure out exactly how to solve this one. And we are gonna be diving into map number 3. All right, here we go into Triton. One of the biggest snow maps down here. On the bottom right-hand side in the red, he is
Chivo, soO.
And in the left top side of Triton, we're looking in the main base of the man who's always angry.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
always angry when everyone else is holding up trophies.
That too. But I think especially after a game like the previous one, he's like, yeah, okay. He's like, that's never going to happen again, all right? I think from this point on, I feel like in general, Dark shines more when he's bringing the fight to his opponent, right? Like when he's fighting on the other side of the map, when he's looking for openings, because he's such a fast player. I think one of my favorite games of the global finals of last year was, or was even the year before, no, I think it was last year, where Dark played against soO, and I'm not sure if it was like Ascension to Aya, because that map feels like it was even longer ago than last year. Maybe it was there, but they had this epic Ling Bane game that just went on and on and on. And they were both just playing their heart out, and it was like, I have no idea how either of them are keeping up with each other right now, right? Because they were just playing at such a sick pace. And I always feel that Dark shines the most in situations like that, where you're pushing yourself and your opponent to the limit, and a single misclick, a single mistake could be the end. Well, if he's just sitting back, I suddenly feel like he's still world class, of course, but he becomes a little more vulnerable.
Absolutely. I mean, he always is a person who looks to make the other player act rather than being the reactor himself. He loves those timing attacks, you know. He's the best macro cheeser in that he's a player who bounces so quickly between very aggressive gambles and then the very defensive plays. And he kind of really does have that full range of strategy. I personally remember being shocked the first time I got to watch him play first person. His first person view when you watch Dark's stream is incredible. He is so fast and so good at multitasking.
It's like, what am I actually looking at? It's like, it's like something wrong with my PC. Why is it playing this stream at like 1.25 speed or something?
You actually miss a lot of the mouse actions because he can't keep up with how quickly he's performing actions. It's kind of crazy. I remember watching live at BlizzCon when you could see the first-person views on the side, then I was like, oh, cool, this is actually way higher FPS. I can actually see every movement, and it was incredible to see him.
That final when Dark went up versus Beyond, I was actually only looking at the first-person view.
It was amazing.
I was like, this is unreal. This is the coolest and craziest thing I have ever seen. Now, that's already many years ago. We've seen a lot of crazy and cool things over the last few years in StarCraft as well. But yeah, the speed of some of these guys is just, it's nuts.
And speed definitely can come into play here. This one is Triton. Now, this is a big, long rush distance map. We've kind of got Ephemeron out of the way, the shortest rush distance in the pool on map 1. That second one on Acropolis also a bit more of a medium distance. The rush distances just get longer and longer as this series carries on. So because of that, we see mobility becoming more and more powerful. Now, Roach is still very powerful, but Nidus Worms enable that mobility a lot more on this map. We've seen Dark using it a lot here, but also upgraded Zerglings is an option. Mutalisks are an option, which we are seeing find their way into the meta more and more. Obviously spearheaded a little bit by Raynor in the foreign scene.
Dark makes sure that the mistake of the previous game will not happen again, as he sends 2 Zerglings into the natural and then the main base. So at this point, Dark knows that soO's not doing the same thing. This game, there is actually a Baneling nest, so he will not get tricked. soO is the one who made a few more lings initially, and is going to try to get something done here.
Ooh, okay, yep, just going to poke around here, try to create some threat. Nicely done. It looks like Dark might actually be trying to go towards Mutalisks as well. Good pick off there by soO. But yeah, he's put an Evo chamber at the front. It's not being used right now. So I think Dark's basically saying, hey, look, it's a fast evolution chamber. This makes it look more like a Roach build. Behind that, going up to 4 gases. So it is going to be a Mutalisk versus Roach matchup, which is really interesting. The Mutas, of course, very powerful against Roaches since Roaches don't shoot up. The problem is if those Roaches get across into your mineral lines, they can take out your workers very, very quickly.
Yeah. I think this game is going to go on for quite some time. We do see Dark with his safety Roach Warren as well, right? So I don't really think that soO is going to make a crazy attack anytime soon, because Dark should be capable of dealing with any sort of aggression that's heading his way. Then we do have the Spire that you mentioned, but having that Roach Warren makes your life a little bit easier, right? In case your opponent does attack you immediately, Roaches are a lot cheaper than Mutas, so you can always fire up quite a few Roaches.
Absolutely. Both players still relatively tied in economy. 53 workers apiece here as the lair is now underway for soO. Not a particularly fast lair, which makes me think he will most likely be heading on up to about 65, 70 workers here. Definitely going to be going for a big economy game, so no sign of a timing attack just yet.
I like +1 melee a lot. I think that's very cool. That's a very fun upgrade. Obviously goes very well together with Mutas, right? Does soO know yet about the Spire? I have the feeling he doesn't, right? I feel like soO hasn't really made any attempts of getting into the main base of Dark over the last few minutes. I mean,
yeah, he's dancing around at the front with his Zerglings, but not really finding any purchase. Hasn't found his way in just yet. Oh, but no. Good Queen defense. Just going to grab 1 or 2 drones there. And good defense by Dark, who is down about 10 workers right now. So soO doing a good job of keeping him busy there in that economy game. Of course, Dark's got to be the one who's a little bit more afraid.
Oh, what? Spire now for soO? That's so late. Would you almost say that that's for Corruptus? Even though I know that sounds very weird, but...
It could be. Definitely the Roach Corruptor pushing style is something, but I think he doesn't know about the Spire just yet. So to me, it feels like he's just saying, hey, this was my game plan. I want to play Roach first, Roach, and then I'll go into Mutalisk. This is going to be his first sign of what's actually going on. This Oversteer, and there we go, sees the Spire.
You don't make Mutas here. Like
You can't catch up in Mutas. Even going Corruptors is a little bit iffy. He may cancel that Spire. We'll have to see what his choice is.
Maybe just not use it for a while, and then eventually, if you feel that Dark only has lost a couple of Mutas, then you go into Mutas. And Roach Corruptor is, it's a weird comp, but it's something we have seen a couple of times lately in this EVZ. And it can get some magic done. Didn't we have a crazy game on the Global Finals? Wasn't Reino Cerro? Didn't we have like Corruptus there for Cerro?
Yeah, game 1 of Montreal was actually
on
the
Acropolis, right?
Yes, yeah, crazy base trade game. Lots of caustic spray. And it looks like definitely that bank's going up. 4th base on the way now. soO trying to secure that. And just kind of setting up spores everywhere. Corrupt as it is. +2 melees already on the way, as well as +1 flyer attacks, though. I mean, the upgrades are so good. Dark's economy is very nice. I feel like Dark seems to just have a little bit of a head start on this.
Yeah. And I think he has all the potential as well, right? Because it's a lot easier, I think, to make plays with Mutas and +1 links than it is with Roaches and Corruptors.
Oh, yeah,
like,
man.
It's almost like not fair. It's like, man, my opponent can be so cool in this game, and all I can do is, like, the right thing and defend, I guess. Like.
Yeah, I mean, Mutas and Lings, at any moment they find an empty mineral line, they'll just devastate. Mutas come in, try to take down the Queens, but the Corruptors pop just in time. But look at that, knocked back down to 3 base is soO. Dark taking the lead in that regard. And I mean, +2 melee Zerglings are incredible. +1 even very powerful as they are. In small numbers, Roaches actually can get destroyed by melee upgraded Zerglings, as long as the Zerglings kind of surround them, get enough surface area. It's when the Roaches are in a big ball, you can't really get enough Zerglings attacking any individual Roach, so of course the Zerglings do very poorly. But in small numbers, if this gets down to a scrappy game, lots of fighting all over the place, the Lings will be incredible.
Dark is now adding 9 Corruptors himself. That's actually kind of cool, right? So he's going to be at 17 Mutalisk and then 9 Corruptors against the 16 Corruptors of soO. Okay, that's going to be like, I've seen Corruptor against Mutas before, but now we're going to have Muta Corruptor against Mutas, or Corruptors rather.
And soO hasn't got any upgrades on his air either.
Nope.
I mean, we know he doesn't like air upgrades for his Corruptors, as we saw earlier, but...
Oh, these Lings with +2
no,
pick!
Oh, no,
with
oh, no. That's huge, man. 16 workers in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, that was so quick as well. That was unbelievably quick. Just a couple of hold positions there real quick.
Wow.
The Corruptors have now shown up for Dark. I mean, Dark's economy
Oh, look at that. He gets a surround.
And that's a winnable fight for the Lings. I mean, there are more Roaches coming on the right side, but look at these Lings go. Just nibbling their way through these Roaches. Lings are so sick with upgrades.
Dude, upgraded Zerglings, an incredible unit. The Corruptors are shown here. Carapace does start up for Suzanne units, but +2 flyer attack already well on the way for Dark.
Wasn't +2 melee like close to finishing up?
It should be kicking in any moment now.
I had the feeling that it was stuck, or that he like maybe accidentally cancelled it.
Maybe it got contaminated? Did he cancel?
But it just...
He must have cancelled it.
Yeah, I feel like he must have.
Oh, he accidentally cancelled. That's got to be an accident.
I feel like it was almost done.
Yeah, it should have been done by now. I was like, oh, maybe, my time perception's off, I guess. But no, that's definitely an accidental cancel from Dark. Unless it got double contaminated.
Or triple.
Yeah, like, that's insane.
Quadruple.
Makes no sense. All right, Lings there, going to have a little bit of a party in the main base. Not going to achieve much, just going to scout around, see no Hive, no Infestation Pit, no Spellcasters on the way. So you don't... The cool thing here for Dark is normally you're very worried about like infestors, about Vipers coming out, right? These units destroy air units, Vipers especially with Parasitic Bomb, but soO's not really a Hive Tech guy. He's not big on the Spellcasters. They're not his forte. So I feel like Dark has a bit more comfort staying on this, but he's also, I'm pretty sure he's quite afraid. I'm pretty sure the moment he saw the Corruptors, he thought he was going to be pushed, cancelled +2 melee, cancelled Bane Speed, said, hey, it's just Roach Corruptor. I just need more Mutas, more Zerglings. Yeah. And now he's realized, wait, you're not pushing me yet. This game's going to go on. So he's restarted those upgrades. He's going back and he's maxed out now. Dark is going to need to make a play at some point. He wants to keep moving this advantage forward now that both players are maxed.
Yeah, it's going to be very weird. I mean, the air battle should still be in favor of Dark, I feel like. I should just have a little bit more. There's always a lot of counter-attack potential in these lings, and these lings are going to shine once again. Okay, those defensive banes were very good, but can Dark win this air battle? That's kind of the big question here. I mean, it's a lot of Corruptors on the side of soO, Pig.
That is a ton of Corruptors there. We've got a lot of Mutas, though. They might not look like that many because they're stacked up. That is 27 Mutalisks and 11 Corruptors for Dark. Roach is actually getting in and doing a lot of damage on the ground, though. Oh man, the Corruptors, even if he loses the air fight, soO here kiting backwards as well as he can. He's trying to make the most of this. And at home, I mean, Dark's taking really big damage on his economy.
He is taking really big damage, but if soO loses all those Corruptors, I don't think he can ever rebuild them. And I think he agrees. GG gets called. Dark will win the game on Triton. A bit of an odd one out there, Pig, but he does secure himself the 2-1 lead.
I mean, that's scouting for you. Dark there played a reactive game. He checked everything at every step of the way. He was scouting for what soO was doing. soO was not. He was very busy, just kind of focused on his game plan. Let's go Roach, let's go into Muta. And it was so late that he actually ended up spotting that Spire transition. So just a little bit late on the scouting there for soO. He's going to need to check what Dark's up to if he wants to continue this.
I must say, it felt like the Corruptor count was insane at first, and I thought maybe the Corruptors can actually win this fight, but you were right. Those Mutas, there were way more Mutas than I actually thought there were.
All right, well, we are going to continue this series in just a moment. We're just going to be right back after a very quick break. are back here with soO versus Dark. It is the Group A winners match here in the round of 16 of the WCS Global Finals. It's been a very, very knifey-spoony sort of match here so far, rather than being very action-packed. That last game, though, Dark just looked like he was in control from start to finish.
Yeah, I like this build a little bit more than I like the build of soO. I like what soO did in that previous game, where it's like a bit playing out of his comfort zone. He's the one making units first and stuff. In the previous game, it just didn't really work out. I like the idea of the Corruptors. I like the idea of maxing out on Roach Corruptor.
Yeah.
But I think he did not anticipate how high the air unit count of Dark truly was.
Dude, there was like 37 mutas and like 12, 15 Corruptors or something. It was crazy. It was an immense amount of supply there, and it did the work, but I'm just so happy that Dark's embracing that style. You know, the Raynor style of Zerg vs. Zerg, it feels like the current map pool is designed for it. It's amazing. Let's see what happens in game number 4. And up here in the top right-hand side, in the red, he is
Chivo, soO.
Currently down 1-2 versus the man who won the most recent Super Tournament in the left bottom side of the World of Sleepers. We're looking at the main base of
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
like a phoenix born from the ashes of that second game. He just came back and crushed it in game number 3.
I must say, if Dark does end up winning this group, I think that's truly very impressive. I know most people, or almost every diehard Starcraft fan, predicted Dark to win this group. Not just because he's Dark, but also because he won the most recent GSL Super Tournament, and especially the way he did it, right? Like, often I feel like whenever we have a champion out of a Korean tournament, it's like, okay, it's really cool, but it's like Game 6, Game 7, Game 7, and you could really say if they play that tournament again, you're going to get a different champ most of the time, right? Because it really feels a bit volatile with all these great players in those tournaments. But the last one with Dark, no, he stomped the competition. He absolutely crushed it. He looked pretty much untouchable, and that's why everybody expected Dark to show up here and win this group. I think he's definitely been pushed harder than a lot of people even predicted him to be pushed, especially in that first series where he went up against Showtime. But so far in this one, I feel like he is sort of restoring the order of things that we expected. And if he does get the job done, Pig, that's impressive.
2 semi-finals appearances this year for Dark and a Grand Finals championship, as well as that Super Tournament. You know, that's a crazy year. If Serral hadn't gone and ruined, you know, our idea of what a good year looked like, I think we'd be non-stop gushing about how good Dark's year has been. But you know, he's still here. He's swinging hard and looking so good so far. World of Sleep is another gigantic map, and one where, you know, those upgraded Zergling styles, upgraded Zergling's Mutalisks, this is something Raynor did a lot against Serral, and we saw most recently that Serral really liked just going for a sort of 55 drone +1 attack Roach Nidus attack.
What's this all about? Dark taking the expand in the middle with that rich Vespian gas.
That gas, man. Dude, especially for Nidus attacks and any Roach build, that's amazing. Because you don't really need the 6th gas as much with a lot of Roach builds. And that gas is like 1.5 gas geysers anyway. So you can effectively get a really good leg up and secure a 4th kind of behind it below to the bottom corner very easily as well. So I actually really like this.
It gets scouted. Dark immediately makes a couple of links. He already had a few links in production before this even got scouted. That's 20 Zerglings, but there's no Baneling nest, right, on the side of Dark.
It's like a reversal of Acropolis, where soO did this sort of build that Dark's doing this time.
But soO scouts it so early on. Like, if soO gets 1 Zergling into the natural, into the main, scouts that Roach one, sees there's no Baneling nest, I think if soO just keeps building Ling Bane from here, isn't soO going to be more than okay?
Yeah, I mean, soO definitely can be okay. There's 2 ways. It's either hold down the Zergling Baneling key and go, or just drone really hard and don't overcommit to the defense. I think right now he's going to go for a brutal counterattack. He's sneaking a pack of Lings on the north side, but he's feinting like he's being very careful and defensive. He's got just his Queens, Lings, Banes coming down here slowly, but he's got a flood of units about to come out. And he's got the backstab hitting at the same time. Backstab finds the empty mineral line, Kevin.
Yep, and this is not what Dark wanted. Dark doesn't want to fight on his side of the map at all. Dark wants to side on the map of soO, or at least on the side of soO, so you can keep those Lings and Banes there. I think there's a couple of Banelings morphing aggressively as well. 8 drones have already gone down, but soO wants more.
Yeah, oh man, another 2 or 3 go down. Dark pulls them back just a second too late there. And here comes the counter-attack. Masses of Zerglings coming across the map. Now the Roaches are out, but Dark's on 16 workers. soO just needs to keep building units, and it's checkmate. Dark kind of is forced into doing a Roachling all-in attack here, and he has to perfectly target down the Banelings before the fight happens. I mean, his economy is so far behind, there's no way he can catch up. soO's just going to defend with Zerglings and Banelings, wait for his own Roach Horn to kick in. Yet another brutally fast game. This is just, I mean, this epitomizes Korean Zerg versus Zerg. It's a knife fight in a phone booth. We call it that for a reason. It's because neither player steps back and takes the defensive road. They always skill check each other, and in this series especially, we're seeing players crumble under pressure just a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta say, soO did that incredibly well though. I mean, mining those minerals there on the next side and like sneaking these Lings to the other side of the map. I don't know if that was like all calculated or if he just kind of knew that Dark was gonna do something among those lines where he would try to skip the Baneling nest. However, whatever triggered it, it truly worked for soO as he was able to punish Dark quite a bit. Now, Dark still does have an army, and obviously he still does have 3 bases. He's going to try to drone up a little bit and crawl his way back into the game, but it's just so hard because it feels that Dark can't really make a lot of cool, sick plays here, right? Like, all that he really has to make plays is this group of Lings. That's all he's got.
Yeah, and soO's got everything locked down. This is soO's comfort zone right now. Roaches are going to push out across this map. Is he going to commit? Yeah, only Roaches and Lings in the production tab. soO is going to go all out. He's going to morph Banelings probably with this push as well. And looking to overwhelm his opponent. Dark spent the last 2 minutes droning up. He's down on units. There is such a big Zergling advantage here for soO.
Yep, there are barely any Lings on the map anymore for Dark. I know he still has a couple, but how can they even engage here with the Banelings? The 2 Banes do disappear, so this is that one tiny moment where the Lings of Dark can fight, but Dark is simply outnumbered. There are too many Lings, Banes, and Roaches here. Surrounded those Roaches as well, which means Dark can't even micro his units anymore.
Yeah, that's just a numbers game there. Dark outmanned, outgunned. He's going to be forced to tap out. Wow. It's a day of 5-game series here, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yet again, this one though, about 1/10 of the length and duration of those previous series. Both players just going at each other very hard. And no one here playing completely safe and standard Zerg versus Zerg. Everyone's taking a little bit of a risk or a gamble here or there.
I mean, this is actually quite crazy, okay? Because now we're 1 map away where potentially soO could end up winning this group. And not a lot of people predicted that at all. A lot of people were looking at Dark. Everyone said Dark, Dark, Dark. And then like 2nd place, maybe up for grabs. Could be Special, could be Showtime, could be soO as well. If soO does end up winning this series, he will immediately be sent towards, well, we don't have to send him immediately to America, but he will be sent into the quarterfinals, which of course will take place in the United States next week. That'd be big, and it'd also be very scary for the rest of this group, Piggy, because Dark doesn't just come in as a favorite of this group, he comes in as a favorite for the entire tournament.
Yeah, to take him down here would be a massive step, and you know, there's a certain sort of game that I enjoy more than any other, Kevin. Do you know what happens in that sort of game? It's a bloodbath. And that's right, Game 5 is going to be on Disco Bloodbath. We are diving into game. Let's see how it goes. All right, up here in the top left-hand side of Disco Bloodbath, the red Zerg player. Be huge if he can win this. He is.
Chivo, soO.
Getting the timing on that.
And in the right bottom side of Piggy's Bloodbath, we're looking at the main base of one of the top favorites of this entire tournament. It is
Dragon Phoenix Gaming, Dark.
Now, Pig, I'm not gonna quote our good friend Special exactly, but he did say something to me before the series started. He pointed at the screen and he said, if this guy wins, I'm in trouble. And then he pointed at soO, because that would obviously mean that Dark would go into, you know, the lower, the deciders match, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of course, Special still has his hands full with Showtime, but may he somehow win this. He said, I can't beat Dark. He's like, that's just not possible.
Wow.
He's like, that's not going to happen. So.
Mad respect there. I mean, Dark has been intimidating and crushing. Obviously, TY unable to take a map off Dark in the grand finals of the Super Tournament. So
That final game was really cool, though. That game on Winter's Gate.
yeah, yeah.
That was an
I wish they were
match.
all like that, actually. There was a bit of a bop up until that game. That game saved the series, to be honest.
Yeah. Because it feels like, man, it was amazing. A 30-minute game, awesome. It's like, it was a 4-0. Doesn't matter. That last game was really cool. Didn't you see how close and competitive that was?
Bio Mind fighting on two fronts, drops all over the place. Yeah, it was great.
I mean, if you think back of soO versus Hero Marine on Winter's Gate, that was also an absolutely fantastic game. WCS Montreal.
Oh, yeah.
It was also like 30 minutes.
I mean, yeah. Gabe weathering the storm of soO. It was an incredible game that we thought he was going to win.
I must say, I really thought that this was going to be, you know, a 3-1 for Dark. I think that a lot of people could have predicted like a 3-1 for Dark in this best of 5, and then you'd be like, yeah, everything makes sense. Everything is going according to plan. Now we're hearing Game 5, our third Game 5 in a row, which is quite crazy. You don't often see that. That's the way we want it to be, of course, at the Global Finals. We don't want to see any 3Ls. I do also feel, I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like this year, we already said in the beginning of the show that, like, when it comes to the WCS circuit, right, these are the best 8 players we've ever sent from the WCS circuit. But I think the new rules definitely had something to do with that as well, right? Like the knockout bracket and less points getting from just winning your regional challenger and stuff like that.
Well, the formats have just been getting better for us having more games, which we all enjoy, but also seeing the best players, you know, spread across the many matchups and opponents. Starcraft is a brutal game where there's so much variety. If you only get eliminated by 1 or 2 players in a group stage, like that doesn't necessarily give you the full test of your skill, right? But we are more and more giving these players more maps, more matches to show the extent at which they can play this game. And even here, of course, having best of 5 format now, really changing up the dynamic and giving us these long, drawn-out series where both players have a lot of chance. And they don't mind mixing up their strategies. A best of 5, any pro player will tell you, a completely different ball game to a best of 3.
Yep.
You don't mind trying things that are a little bit riskier. You don't mind going a little bit more outside of your comfort zone because, you know, every game is not quite as deadly.
But it's also just harder to prepare, right? And that's what I said multiple times. Whoa, that's a quick lair on the side of soO. I mean, this is a very big map, and big maps is like, that could be Mudas, could also be Nidus, right? This is one of the two. Whenever Bly plays on like a very big map, I'm like, he's gonna Nidus for sure. I mean, this map is so big, it takes way too long to run units to the other side of the map.
Oh, yeah.
So Nidus is the most likely. We'll see where soO takes it, but...
Yeah, I mean, upgraded Zerglings, Mutas are okay here, but it is hard to get into their 3-base setup. It's, you know, pretty one-directional in terms of the angles you can come from. So because of that, Nidus Worm has been incredibly popular. And it's just the distance from your 3rd base up into the corner of your main base is huge. So running around to deal with Nidus, to deal with multi-prong roach attacks can be really frightening. And that's why this is a map which I would not be surprised to see a lot more of that roach play. So obviously, we need a Roach Warren pretty soon here from Dark, if he is going to do it. He builds 20 more Lings. Dark here, once again going for a very late Ling Bane timing attack, but he hasn't taken more gases or a Roach Warren, so I think the Roach Warren just goes down. Okay, so Dark's going to go for a delayed Zergling Baneling attack. This is a really big surprise. It comes out at such an odd moment.
Yeah,
soO's only got a couple Banelings at home. He doesn't have much to defend this.
Because it doesn't really make any sense, right? Nobody is supposed to build that many Lings and suddenly Banelings as well in this phase in the game. Dark does have his 2 Banes coming in from the right side, just getting 7 or 8 drones.
His Baneling just blew up on a single Zergling. A huge mistake for soO. And because of that, he is caught out with his pants down. The worker line exposed here. Dark here playing the meta. Oh my god, he comes in with such an odd Ling Bane attack. Getting a lot of drones and... Oh, so many workers.
Insane damage. Like 13 drones going down. A Queen went down. A little bit of lost mining time as well. Just the most random Baneling Ling attack that you can possibly think of. 5 minutes into the game. You're not supposed to do this, and if you guys wonder why, it's just because normally your opponent can see it coming in advance, they have their own defensive Banelings ready, and then they can defend and they have an economic lead, but yeah, soO just didn't see it coming, did not expect it, the roaches weren't ready yet.
Yeah.
And I must say, the timing by Dark there is impeccable, right? Because if he does this 25 seconds later, roaches are actually out. So
even without seeing it, right?
Yeah.
The roaches are out literally just as part of the build order by that point. That's what's so amazing about this. It seems like it's kind of random and silly, but you can tell there's a calculated element where Dark realizes players are being greedy and nobody is doing a Ling Bane pressure at that timing. Because of that, he is finding weakness in his opponent's expectation, not the actual build order or the physical nature of the game. But hey, soO here is going to swing in with a big counter attack.
Plus one.
Roach speed as well, but that Spine Crawler, that Ling Flood, looks like it should be able to hold on for now.
Yeah, I really like the defensive spine there, actually. Dark, of course, dealing quite a bit of damage on the other side of the map. He realizes that he can invest right now a little bit into those defenses, and he's got that Nidus network finishing up as well. I mean, soO is still just building units, so on one hand, you can say, like, should you really Nidus here if you're Dark? On the other hand, he is economically ahead, so he can actually stay ahead by just forcing out more and more units.
Yeah.
And eventually it's going to be harder and harder for soO to catch up, because 47 or 56 is a pretty big difference.
I mean, you don't even need to Nidus Worm here. Right now, you just need to survive. But the moment soO tries to drone up and go home, you've got the kill move on the counterattack with that Nidus Worm setup. He's going to try and hold this choke point. soO on 47 workers. He is down a ton of workers at this point. He needs to get the damage done right here, right now. These Roaches and Ravages, though, of Dark dodging the Biles. Notice how he keeps placing those corrosive Biles right in the choke point, forcing soO to disengage.
I mean, this map is just so long. The defense's advantage matters more than ever, right? It takes forever before the new Roaches that soO has produced will show up and actually participate in this battle. So I really don't think that Dark is going to struggle that much here. It's just drop a corrosive bile, just disengage a little bit, and just keep kind of doing this. I mean, you're mining more than your opponent. Your Roaches spawn a lot quicker and join the battle almost immediately. There's really no reason to panic here if you're Dark.
I think soO here, definitely, he's trying to headbutt his way through Dark's defenses, but Dark methodically adding +2 range, adding more Roaches. He's still got that same economic advantage. He is not underestimating this, and Nidus going down on the other side of the map, but he's going to start spamming these corrosive Biles out. Dark is almost ready to just pounce on top of this army. As it is, I think he's just going to send 3 or 4 Roaches into that main base, meanwhile holding on at home. Such good play here. There we go. Yeah, 5 Roaches in the main. soO already behind on economy. His hand is forced. He has to attack in here. He can't get home to defend, but Dark has the bigger army on both sides.
Yeah, this is really going to hurt. I just don't really see a happy ending here for soO. I think he's in all the trouble, and I think he knows it as well. He's staying around longer than he ever should here, which means he's going to end up losing these Roaches, losing these Ravages, and it seems like we have our first quarter finalist of the WCS Global Finals 2019, and it is going to be Dark, but he had to work for it today, Pick.
Oh yeah, that one did not come easy. A few scary moments throughout that series. But Dark does end up standing victorious at the end there. And of course, a word to his friend and longtime competitor there. But, you know, such a close series, back and forth. And it is good to see people's hopes there on soO's shoulders. They definitely weren't misplaced. He took that series down to the line.
Yep, and we had a couple of interesting and close moments as well, right, when it came to